In today's video, we're going to cover variations. Now, anytime I teach a class on variations, I want you to understand that it's totally up to you where you take yourself or your students. We're going to start using the long box supine and we'll work our way up to some different lying down, sitting, and shoulder bridge variations too. So try them all out on yourself and see which ones you like the best. I'm using the thigh cuffs, the Elements by Momentum World thigh cuffs. You can use the double loops and the small of the double loops if that fits around your leg. But if you have a set of thigh cuffs, grab them. If you don't, there's a lot of wonderful exercises that make ease of movement using the thigh cuffs. So I'm going to put them just above my knee, and I'm going to make sure the D rings are behind the knee. I'll show you some, starting with the lying down supine. I'll start with real basics. We're going to add some abs and some rotation, and then we'll take you up to some shoulder bridging, all using the long box. So let's start. Now, if you need to shorten your loops or your ropes, remember you can always take it once around or twice around. For what we're doing today, it's fine. You really don't need any shortening, at least not for me. But again, everybody's limb length and goal is different. I've got it set on a red spring, which I'm going to consider a medium, not a real strength. Remember, hip flexors can burn out really quick if we're not using our abdominals properly. So always make sure your abs are engaged. I'm going to start by rolling down. I've got my sit bones pretty close to the edge when I started. I'm going to interlace my fingers together. I'm going to place them behind my neck with my pinky fingers touching the skull, just so my skull can hammock. If I'm too far forward, I have a tendency to push my head up. So I'm going to extend the leg out. My right foot is on the headrest. You can turn it out if that feels good for you. So start with the leg extended and then bring the knee in. I'll show you a couple reps there. You can add abdominals on the knee extension. You can add the abdominals on the knee flexion. You can add rotation. So there's a lot of great things you can do when you're doing it supine. You can also take yourself off to where my shoulder blades are at the edge. Start extension, noticing I've got the foot bar out of the way. Lift up neutral, knee tuck in, lift, extend out, and go back into extension. Getting a nice stretch. Come up to neutral, knee tuck, and lift. And you could add rotation to that with extension. So depending on where you want to put your body. The other thing you can do for people that need a little help is put an ab mat under their back to help them lift up so they're not in their back, because especially if they're working on increasing core strength but they don't have it yet, to come up with the hip flexors working and the abdominals not engaged properly because they're rolling up in a collapse versus a lift, excuse me, you might want to prop them. I've noticed clients when they are still working on creating that core control, that they will say the hip flexors are gripping, and that's just because they're not stabilizing in the pelvic floor and abdominals properly. So be very aware that abdominals and pelvic floor and just feeling that sense of stability and connection in the abs and the core, super important. So I'm going to show you, let me do this. Got that. So without a lot of change, I'm just going to simply take my opposite rope and hook it on. I'm going to roll back down. I'm going to start forward. So this one will require me to get my right leg out of the way because I'm now going to do abducted in the hip. So I'm externally rotated and abducted. I'm placing my foot on top of the rope. I'm going to start flat. I'm going to reach the leg to the opposite riser and pull out to the side. As the leg comes forward, I can cue, feel that inner thigh bring the leg, activating that lower glute as well, to the opposite riser and back out. Extend it out if you want to go long lever and all the way in. Feel that connection with the glutes and back out. Extend, bring it to that opposite riser and back out. Now, whether you've got it crossed over like I do here, or you're using the same side, you can play around with this variation. And I'm going to show you knee circle. So I'm going to start getting that nice length through my waist. Be careful not to hip hike on the other side. So I'm going to start here, bring it out, bring it up, cross over my midline, bring it to that riser, bring it out, up, over, reverse, up, open out, and around. Show you one more time. And again, that option can be done with extension, with rotation, torso rotation. So let's go back to standard setup where I've got the same side rope attached to the same side D-ring. And then I'm going to scoop myself on, make sure my hands are not slippery. And I'm going to start nice and tall with my spine, roll those sit bones under, grab the edge of the box, extend the leg out. So here is basic half roll back. You can apply all the same principles. Rotate, supported, rotate, unsupported. I have got some short box variations we'll go to in a minute that you've seen recently, and I think I did a tutorial on it, as well as a piece in one of my recent athletic workouts. This tutorial came about from a comment, and I love your guys' comment. I love you asking deeper questions. And the comment was, I really like that hip flexor series. Do you have any other variations? So I thought, you know what, I'll do a whole variation series on this, and that's where this came about. So be sure to leave me comments. It really helps, whether it is a comment under the video or whether it's in a private email. Please keep them coming. They really help me listen to what you guys really want. So I appreciate that. So we went through the unsupported and supported. Now we're going to go into a bridge. So I'm going to scoot back a little bit more. We're going to go into a shoulder bridge. I've got my right foot really secure. I have my toes kind of bird perched over the edge. So I'm going to start by lifting myself up. I'm going to go back a tiny bit more with my hands, almost at the back box edge. And I'm going to bridge up, extend the leg out, and in. So this is much higher level. It's going to require a lot of shoulder strength and a lot of coordination in order to do that. Now you can do the whole series in that shoulder bridge, or you can add a lower and lift. I'll show you a couple reps of lower and lift. So there's some options just to get that extra shoulder work in there, and core and glute work as well. Let me show you the other side, just so I don't burn out this one hip flexor for this series. Clip it on. So here's what it looks like on the non-rope side. All right, that can be done in a abducted position too. Let me show you that on the right leg. Flipping the leg around. Make sure that D ring is on the back. This one does require the supporting leg to be abducted and slightly turned out. So I'm going to start just in a frog position. Hands are really sweaty today. All right. I'm going to organize my shoulders, bridge up first, and pull it out. Always aim the toe at the opposite riser. Okay, so there that is, and again, you can lower and lift in the hips as well. Now I'm going to show you some with the box short. You're going to notice a lot of the similarities as far as set exercises. They're all the same. It's just preference with these different variations. And I use them all. I like them all. So let me show you. Here is that half rollback position. Here it is unsupported. Here it is fully rolled down, hands on. This brings that edge of the carriage, which was my reference on the exercise I did before. You can do half rollback unsupported. You can add rotation. So there's a lot of really great series you can do, whether the long box or short box. Short box adds another element for the bridging series because you have the option for feet on shoulder rest. So let me show you all the way rolled down. I'm going to scoot forward. I've got my forearms on, so I can do foot on the headrest. I can do that opposite foot on the shoulder rest. So there's a lot of different things you can do there. Now, as far as bridging, hand position, safety is important. This is my preference when I do the bridge. So I'm going to bridge it up, get myself all organized, and pull it in. I can do that sit down, bridge it up, pull it in. All right. Obviously, you can't do single arm bridging yet. I haven't figured out how to do that. But so there's that bridging. You can also bridge, as I mentioned, with your heel on if you want to get a little bit higher. People with longer limbs are at a bit of a disadvantage. Shorter limbs may like this option better. Let me get myself set up. Lift up and pull it in. Try to get my hips as high as I can. So there's the shoulder bridge on the short box. You can add abduction. I don't need to show you that. But you can add cross the straps in abduction. So we've got the sitting half roll back, the bridge, the hands down, full roll back. Trying to think if there's anything we've added, the rotation, unsupported. So I think we've got the ones that I like to do on the box. Let me take the box off. And what I'm going to do, since I don't want to kill this right hip flexor, let me show you on this side. So these are the options you can do on the carriage itself. I like to pull my hips really close to the shoulder rests to start. Hands behind the head. And this is going to be probably the most stable variation because you're blocked. It's going to shorten your range of motion and hip extension, but your students will feel the work. You can crisscross. You can go back, put your shoulder blades on. Now be very careful if you have long hair or a ponytail. We don't want that going into the springs. And I'm going to put my foot there. I'm going to do some extension, get deeper in extension, roll up, extend out, go flat, knee tuck, go more into extension, hold that knee tuck, come up. So you can add rotation to that as well. I'm going to scoot back a little bit more. and I'm going to put my left shin against the shoulder rests, hands on, and I'm going to get into that half rollback and pull here. And you can go out, like I mentioned before, with or without crossing those straps. You can hold lightly on with one to the shoulder rest if you want to add a little bit of balance, but not unsupported. So be very mindful when you're higher, it's less chance to grip in your hip flexors. When you're flat and low, it really requires a lot of abdominal control. Bridging, shoulder bridge. This guy's slipping. Get that. There we go. Shouldn't have wore slippery pants. Okay. So I'm going to get myself set. I'm going to show you on the shoulder rest. And adding that lower, lift, and in. So there's some options. Oops. There's some options there. I'm getting tired. I think it's like 15, 16 minutes into this. So there's quite a few options. Let me show you crossed strap. So when you do the cross strap, remember the supportive leg is hip abducted. So here it is, half rolled back. Okay, small movement. It's fine to teach that as a prep. Here it is, bridged, abducted. Oops, hold on. My foot's not in the right spot. So there's another option for you to try. Any of the shoulder bridges, I would omit for obviously even beginning or intermediate, all level students. I would keep it only in my intermediate and advanced class. Now, as I mentioned earlier, if you only have the double loops, be very mindful that they're going to slip. That's where I recommend getting the thigh cuffs. I've got a whole series on quadruped hip flexors too, and those are all in my athletic Pilates lower body volume 2 workbook that's coming out soon. And I mentioned this before in the past few videos. With the website launching and COVID, I've really had a hard time getting a photographer in to shoot the book. So thank you for being patient. It's getting done. It's halfway there. It's a little over halfway there. So it'll be coming soon. It's got all of these in print, so you'll have them for reference. So I hope you enjoyed the little tutorial on different variations. If you have, like, as I mentioned, this came from a comment. So if you've seen another video, or let's say you saw a video somewhere else and you said, hey, Sean, I'd like to know technically how to do this exercise. Send me a video clip. If it looks like something that I think is sound to do, I'll definitely do it as a video and let you know, because I like to not only teach you my concepts and my exercises and my view and approach to Pilates the way I do it. I'm happy to discuss other people, their exercises as well, and give you a different perspective and offer some variations. I had one person say, I like this exercise. I think it's wonderful, but I'm not really sure what to do with my client with rheumatoid arthritis. So I'm like, okay. So I did a video clip for her and got that out. And so what I'm going to do now that I have the website is I'll take those and I'll actually do videos for you guys to see. And remember, method is based on breaking down joint mechanics, variations, regressions, progressions, and also a little bit of time for me to talk to you guys about education. I wanted to make sure the website had an athletic approach to it, which is what I do, a progressive approach, which is going to show you unique ways to move with the reformer. And I've also added the fuse ladder in because I realized there wasn't a really great way for people to find other than fuseletter.com, exercises that follow both progressive method and athletic approaches. So I decided to do that. I'm going to stay away from mat just because with my spine injury, I'm not a fan of mat. I need a lot of support. So it's not my expertise. Mat is not my expertise. And there are so many great mat teachers out there. I decided to keep it really specific on this. So remember, anytime you want to find something, either go to the method category or like today, if you went to the search engine, whether you can do the magnifying glass at the upper right hand to find it, or go to your account page, my account, and go to the search menu. Just type in hip flexor or hip flexion. See what comes up. You can type in hips. That'll give you everything, whether it's lateral or posterior or extension or whatever. And as I mentioned earlier, please keep your comments coming. We'll grow together and we'll learn together. And thanks so much for watching.